Hello, everyone, and good morning. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to
Neil,
the breakfast show. Yes, hello.
Go ahead, continue, Neil. I'm getting some issues, so I was just telling you to keep going.
All right, so I'll keep going. Good morning. Welcome back to the breakfast show with myself and Jose. We will be live, of course, as always, until the market opens. Today, we will cover a little bit of Micron. Micron reports earnings after the market closes today. Got some AMD notes as well. Then we can already talk a little bit maybe about Nike for tomorrow, Thursday. Tomorrow, we might or might not be live for a short stream to maybe review Micron's earnings report, although I'm pretty sure both of us will already talk about it on our channels. Now, good morning to everyone here in the chat. We've got David, we've got Josh, we've got Manit here. Ada, howdy from the Czech Republic. Hello, hello, good morning. Good morning to everyone. Yesterday was a pretty good day. We're going to have a look at the pre-market action. Europe right now and Asia. We're going to have a look at all of that in just a second. Let me pull up the screen for you all real quick so we can actually have a look at what is going on right now. So pre-market, it seems like we are green, but mostly flat at the moment. Mostly flat. Oil is up a tiny bit, but we're back under $65, so that's great. 10-year here, 4.31%. Very good. I mean, very good. Could be better, but I mean, it's better this than getting closer to 5%. Asian markets right now, as you can see, also green across the board. And in Europe, we've got red across the board. So a bit of a mixed, I guess, but since I think most of us are anyways investing in US companies, although some of us have European companies as well in our portfolio, it's not that bad at the moment. Some of the headlines of this morning: Tesla's European car sales nosedive for fifth month as customers switch to Chinese EVs. We got NATO, of course, meeting. It's time to get serious about defense. On the Tesla stuff, I do want to show you one thing real quick, and that's this right here. So last week, you see in Europe, but in select European countries, which make up around 60% of the sales in Europe, according to Roland here on X. The number was 6,200, and that's this yellow. That's this pinkish salmon type of color. We can see that it has been going up and up and up. Of course, we are still down. I mean, the quarter after 12 weeks is up 3.2%, but down 16.3% year over year. And year to date sales until right now, we're still down 21.3%. But over the past couple of weeks, sales have been picking up a tiny bit in those select European countries, which I guess is better than nothing. But yeah, we're still far away from where we should be, for sure.
And Neil, with these selected countries, are these countries that actually have high volume? Because I know one thing that I've been saying is there are certain countries that I see here data only from UK, Norway, Netherlands, Sweden, Denmark. Do you know if these are high volume places, Neil? Because I know there's like certain countries where only sell a few kind of thousand units, and obviously continue to see some strength there would be great. But it's 60% of sales in Europe. That's actually pretty good then.
Yeah, it's 60%, and UK is now the largest market for Tesla in Europe, surpassing Germany and France. Norway is, of course, pretty big. I mean, the majority of the cars there are anyways EVs at the moment. So yeah, those aren't small countries. Let's put it that way. And I also think that right now they even make up more than 60% of sales in Europe because Germany and France are so weak.
And in question here, Neil, do you know if this 60% of these sales also have that competition of the Chinese players? As you did mention, I forget what country it was from the overall article you provided, that one of the main reasons you're kind of seeing some of the decline in those other places is because of the switch to EVs. Do you know if those countries there do have still Chinese players as well?
I mean, I would assume that the Chinese sell in almost every country in Europe. I see them in Belgium here a lot, so I would assume they're a bit everywhere. And it's not surprising. It's not surprising here. We see Chinese manufacturers maintain their strong momentum in Europe's new car market in May, despite European Union tariffs on Beijing EVs. A Chinese automaker sold 65,808 units last month and more than doubled their market share in the region to 5.9%. So I guess this takes into consideration the whole of Europe. But yeah, it makes sense. I don't know if they do include here BYD's plug-in hybrids. The price of these cars probably also a bit lower than a Tesla Model Y, for example, or even the new Tesla Model 3. So makes sense. I mean, if you want to, it makes sense. If you want to pick an EV and you look at the Chinese makers and they are way cheaper, then I guess that's one way to pick up sales for sure.
We do have some interesting questions coming in here. Neil, I had some technical issues. I didn't know if you did the good mornings here, but we have Spook, we have Gene, we have Juan. Good morning from SK Hynix. Is it a good morning from SK Hynix, or are you saying good morning because you work at SK Hynix? Either or, good morning. But if SK Hynix gave us some good news, I've missed it so far. I don't know if you've seen anything good happening with SK Hynix right now. Neil, we have Fabio. What's up, guys? We have Joseph. Hello. Today will be a SoFi day. What's up with the SoFi day? Hood is soaring. So just, good morning, and welcome to everybody. Lane, what's up, chat? So good morning to everybody here. Neil, we also are getting a lot of questions about Micron. I don't know if we want to jump into that one next. They are reporting earnings later today. So just maybe a top overview of what are you expecting, Neil, from there. And I do have, I did a video yesterday and I do have some notes on that I wouldn't mind covering, but would love to hear just your raw thoughts before discussing anything about that.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, yeah, Hood is also up today. Right now, pre-market, another 3 point something percent after being up 7-8% yesterday. So pretty good momentum. I mean, pretty good momentum across the board from yesterday. Before we jump into my connection, maybe let me show the heat map from yesterday because it was a pretty good one. A pretty good one.
And we actually got Fabio just told us some great news. AMD pre-market is at 140. That's wild.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Very nice. I remember when it was at 100 and below how we were made
Like it
fun
was
of.
less than a month ago or so.
Yep. Less than a month ago or so, Advanced Money Destroyer is turning into Advanced Money Maker.
Hey, Nvidia's almost 150 too. I didn't want to take AMD shine, but I wanted to see what.
Yeah, we don't care about Nvidia anymore.
I'm leaving. I'm telling you, I'm gonna leave one of these days. I'm gonna walk out, and yeah.
So yeah, Micron. What I expect from Micron, of course, continued strength in the HBM business for them, for sure. Maybe commentary on already 2026 if they can share something. I'm sure they're already going to talk about HBM4 because we've talked about that article I think last week for HBM4. So demand, we know they're sold out for 2025. So what about 2026? How's the demand looking for that? How's the construction of new facilities? How's that going on? Any discussions maybe with the administration, subsidies wise, permits, all of the extra information that we can get is going to be very helpful. And then, of course, on the maybe consumer centric side of the business, are they still facing headwinds? And if not, when do they see things turning around? Because that's going to be very important. Like we said yesterday, right? $1 billion here, $1 billion there, extra from those businesses could be very helpful. So I know we know 2025 is a good year because it's sold out for them HBM wise. So it's definitely going to be a good year for that. But what comes next? What comes next is probably more important than what has happened before, for sure.
Yeah, and I don't know, if you want to just pull up some fiscal.ai, I know we can see some estimates there on what the revenue guidance revenue is expected. More importantly, revenue guidance as well. And we can also take a closer look at what the market is expecting in forms of earnings per share. But if we look at it here on a quarterly basis, this is expected to be another strong quarter for Micron. We did see kind of a quarter-over-quarter decline in the previous one, but this one's expected to tick us back in. I think it's about 8.8 to 8.9 billions of dollars in revenue expected for this upcoming quarter, which is for this one, the May 25th, and then the one after that. It's crazy growth expected after that, Neil. I mean, you can see for the August quarter, we're expecting about 9.9 billion. So this is the like I mentioned in a bit two streams ago, it's definitely a great time right now because even though the holiday season is not starting just yet, these companies that are making the laptops, that are making every type of consumer electronic for the holiday season, they need to buy the memory and all these semiconductor components right now to be able to have that inventory for the holiday. So that's going to be fueling a nice amount of the growth in the consumer space. So in forms of earnings, in revenue, I do believe these numbers can actually be very much met. I was just listening to an AMD's call, Neo, and they pretty much said that the gaming market and the PC market were doing a little bit stronger than they expected. So that obviously could bode really well for Micron and a lot of the consumer tech. And then in earnings per share, I do believe we're also expecting a nice, pretty much. It's interesting that we're seeing a flat line here. One of the things here to remember is, unfortunately, the consumer market sometimes is a little bit more competitive. So because it is a little bit more competitive, the gross margins aren't as high. as high as maybe some of the other data center segments. So we are expecting this market to be about $1.59 here on the consensus, and then continue to see a nice boost after that. In August 25th, we're expecting more of a $2 guidance on earnings per share. So one thing that gets me pretty excited also, Neil, for this earnings is this is the first earnings they're gonna change the way they report their segments. I don't know if you see that they're no longer gonna do the segments they have right now. They're gonna do it more product specific. So they're gonna have a client segment, which is just gonna be kind of like consumer PCs and consumer mobile, which I'm pretty excited about. They're gonna have an embedded market, which is gonna be the automotive segment and and kind of the industrial space. And then they're going to have two that are going to be for like the data center solutions. One's going to be data center and one's going to be kind of high performance computing. I wonder what's going to be the difference between the two. I haven't really read it. I wonder if high performance computing is more for AI accelerators and data centers might be anything from DRAM that goes on the actual motherboards and stuff like that. But they're breaking down the segments of reporting a little bit better. And as a semiconductor investor, that's actually pretty cool. In my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, if a company makes changes to what they're to the reporting, if it makes sense, I'm all for it, right? If it gives me more information, more clarity, I'm all for it. If it doesn't, then screw them. And I'm like, ugh, why did you do this? Like, this just screws up our whole. Yeah, because we're used to opening up the earnings report, we see what we need to see, and we're done with it. If you suddenly change the reporting to something that doesn't make sense, just makes our lives a little bit more difficult. But yeah, no, the estimates look quite good, right? Revenue wise, they're expected basically to add $1 billion every quarter now, an extra billion in revenue. EPS is basically expected to double from here to the next year, so that's also pretty good. Look at EBIT. We go from 2.1 billion to next year, $4.3 billion. Pretty good. Pretty good. What's interesting is like the consensus average analyst price target is basically at the price we're at right now, maybe a little bit lower. I do wonder if that's going to change after tonight or not, because I mean we know as the price goes up, analysts usually have to readjust their price targets. And so since we are now here consensus 123, 124, we're at 128 pre-market. Time to upgrade, my friends. Time to upgrade.
There's no changes except stock price has gone up. Time to upgrade.
Man, yesterday I talked a little bit about the maybe we talked about this, I'm not sure, about the analyst that increased their price target on Google. A whole note, $3 difference.
Yeah, I only saw the price target increase. I didn't see the price target from when they started, right? So that's wild. I think it was like they saw like a 1.5 to 2% growth in revenue on their estimates or earnings per share, so they gave that same growth to their price target.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen worse, right? I've seen the $1 price target raises as well, which I'm like, come on, that just doesn't make, like, why waste the paper?
Mm-hmm. And let's see, we got some pretty cool comments here, Neil. I wouldn't mind taking over, unless you want to share a little bit more things on Micron here.
No, this was basically from a month ago, right? The last conference that we had. So they said the following: healthy demand for both DRAM and NAND, driving price inflection aspect. Because this is also something that they talked about, right, with regards to tariffs. They're just going to pass it on to the customers. HBM12 high production ramp progressing well, with crossover to majority volume shipments expected in fiscal Q4, which now we're going to be Q3. Q3 is what they report tonight. Data center SSD share gains continue, aiming for further increases. That's great. And HBM revenues exceeded $1 billion last quarter, on track to double that rate. So yeah, pretty good comments, I guess. all in all. Now you can take
And
over.
so some pretty cool. I would love to hear some more commentary on the HBM4, because I do believe they were one of the first to ship it in the industry right now to customers. The other thing is, just like they mentioned here, I was just looking at an article from TrendForce, who follows the It's a research group that follows the semiconductor industry, and they mentioned that they're seeing a nice turnaround story in pricing for NAND. So NAND has been very weak for Micron in the past few quarters, in the past year or so, actually a little bit more than that. So now if you're starting to see maybe a little turnaround story of now more demand being there than supply, I think that can start to help some of those gross margin expectations for Micron in the future. I don't expect the NAND market to completely turn around, but at least going from negative to positive, I think will be very, very good sentiment for them. And Neil, it's so funny how the sentiment continues to change for AMD. Once the advanced money destroyer, now is the advanced money doubler, or as Waldo calls it, the advanced money duplicator. And I think we got a few more like that throughout the comments. So it's pretty funny here.
Advanced money doubly. No, I'm not going to say what I wanted to say. I'm not going to say it.
See, maybe we do have. Go ahead. Say it. Neil.
T-shirt.
I don't know. I missed that one. I'm not on my game today, it seems. But Nebius, did it have a good day yesterday?
Everyone had a good day yesterday.
Everybody did, right?
Even everyone Intel, but Tesla. Everyone but Tesla.
Even Intel had a good day yesterday. Maybe we can talk a little bit about some of the Intel updates in a bit. I was just looking at
Uber
the stock.
Had a great day.
Who did?
Uber,
yeah.
Because robo taxis are supposed to destroy the business, which is why it was up 7.5% yesterday, and Tesla was down 2.3%. So you see how that goes.
Perfect. Let's see, what else do we have here? I saw BBAI. I'm not a one that I follow or would like to follow anytime soon, but I saw a stock up nearly 25% yesterday on what Sid calls, I'm not calling it, what Sid calls a future Palantir wannabe. That's not a shirt, Neil? No. Okay. No. Let's see, what else do we have here? We have Manuel. Can AMD pull back to 116 and 124 once more? I mean, I think in the semiconductor industry, in this whole volatile market, anything is extremely possible. So I wouldn't say no. What do you say, Neil?
I mean, anything is possible. Anything is possible, right? In this crazy market, it's. I do want to be like a little bit cautious with the market right now because, like you said, like you saw Big Bear AI yesterday up how much? 20, 15?
I think it was 25%. Let me
check right now. When you start seeing
25
those type
and up
of
another
names,
4% pre-market.
So when these types of things are happening, right? When these types of, I call them,
what do you call them?
I say this? Shitcoins go up 15, 20, 25% every day, not just one day. And it's not just Big Bear. It's a lot of other smaller companies out there that just jump on no news or nothing. Reminds me a little bit of what has happened before, right? When just things go up, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, understand the market sentiment, right? Mm-hmm. Worst case scenario baked in didn't really happen, and so there is a lot of chase, a lot of chase, right? Because we've seen the data back in April, back in May. Retail was the one buying, institutions, hedge funds were the one unloading stuff. So, since they have to show performance, they have to catch up. So they're doing that maybe right now. And I'm not saying we're going to see a crash or anything, but there is definitely
you hear it here. Neil says we're getting a crash.
There is a potential for a small correction, and like Custard and Chips is saying here, great show, thank you. You guys think we can get a small pullback if Trump increased tariffs again on countries that haven't got a deal done by the deadline? Because that's a crucial point, right? We're not out of the woods yet. The deadline is what, July 9th or something like that?
Something like that. I don't know.
Something
the
like something like that, exactly. So we still have the tariff thing going on. So yeah, any bad news, I guess.
Yeah, July 9th.
Yeah, okay. So any bad news around that, because the market is definitely looking for a bad news to crash the market.
Yeah.
But so far nothing works.
And like I mean, to me, Neil, it's just, even though we did kind of get, we had a massive correction in April, in just a matter of 2 months, it was one of the, I would say, greatest V-shaped recovery that we've seen in a while. And sometimes that scares me, right? I mean, it's definitely. I'm not saying I'm gonna go sell my stocks. I might maybe start to sell off on some of my companies that have definitely run up. I mean, CoreWeave is an example of one that I've been kind of selling over time. But it's more of like not too much handling of my core portfolio. It's more just being a little bit more cautious on new money going in, on where to put it in, right? And how are you handling kind of this when maybe you're starting to feel a little bit iffy? Are you changing a lot of things within your core portfolio, or is it very similar to what I just discussed, where it's more just being more cautious on the new money coming in?
No, so what did I do? I bought UnitedHealth, so I think that's quite a defensive move, I'd say, a little bit. Bought some Google, and that's about it. That's about it for now. The rest will stay in cash, and that's it. I make 4% on my cash, so I don't mind. So that's
all right, big baller. All right. But yeah, no, I mean, similar. I don't think I've really bought anything in the kind of growth state. I just recently did a nice purchase of Google as well, and I think that's where I'm going to be focusing maybe a lot of my allocation for the next maybe few weeks or so, and cash as well if I do have the opportunity to build up cash as well.
We have a ton of money on the sidelines, and it has to enter sooner or later. I mean, the money markets fund was what, $7 trillion or something like that, around that number, give or take. The thing is, there has always been a ton of money on the sidelines, right? There has always been a lot of money on the sidelines, and to be honest, it does not have to enter always. It can stay there. Of course, it might enter, especially when we start cutting rates, it might enter. But to say that there is 7 trillion on the sidelines, which means all of that will flow into the market, that's not true, basically, because money on the sidelines is money on the sidelines that will usually stay most of the time just on the sidelines. So yeah.
Let's see what else we got here, Neil. We have Dookie Pie, interesting name. And it probably froze, but hopefully you can still hear me. Dookie Pie is about to fill a huge $10 in the next few days or weeks. Am I back? Did I go off, Neil? Were you able to hear that?
You froze, but we heard you.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I mean, Marvel's been killing it. I think I saw Marvel right now up another like 2%, sitting at around $76 I think. So ever since their AI event, the stock has definitely, very similar to AMD, Neil, right? After that AI event for Marvel, investors have gotten a lot more excited about it, as they did kind of share some great indications. And I'm not anyone who plays with this magical gap stuff, but Marvel's about to fill a huge $10 gap in the next few days, weeks.
I mean, can fill a gap. Right now, it is just under the 200-day moving average. So in order to fill that gap, it will need a nice push above it, above that 200-day moving average, and then continue. The 200-day is usually one where things get, either you get a rebound or you get quite a lot of resistance there, unless you get a big green candle followed by another one, and you stay above it. So yeah, that's Marvel. It's the nice little gap right here. Not all gaps get filled, but most of them do. Another one with a big gap here. two gaps actually. One for the trade desk, one gap that went from $60 to $70. Filled a tiny bit when we went back under 70 a couple of days ago. So stay tuned for that. And then we have, of course, that huge gap that goes from $85 to 120. That one will take some time to close. Of course, since it is a gap on the upside, it will eventually close unless something bad happens with the trade desk. But right now, it needs to make its way back to the 200-day moving average, which is at $83. Of course, as the time goes by, the moving average will come down, and it should be much easier to go back above it.
I would say agree, but like I said, I don't follow this, so I'll just nod. I can keep reading comments, Neil. Matthew here. What's up, Matthew? Mentions we have an Nvidia shareholder meeting, I think at 9 a.m. I believe he mentions it's West Coast time since it is a Tupac state. It is, I think the only thing I'm excited for this shareholder meeting is hopefully a nice Q&A session to get just a quick update of what's happening with maybe the Blackwell ramp and stuff like that. For those that are not familiar, right now we are transitioning to the Blackwell Ultra. And yesterday, HPE actually had their HPE Discovery in Las Vegas. And one thing that I found pretty interesting there is they mentioned their AI servers that are going to be using the B300, so the Blackwell Ultra, are going to start shipping in early October. So to me, if you're shipping a server in early October, very similar to how we just talked about Micron, that's kind of like the end product. They're going to need to be getting those chips from Nvidia and everybody else ahead of time. So I think we're going to start to see some Blackwell Ultra revenue either by the end of this quarter or next quarter for sure. So that gets me pretty excited about an Nvidia shareholder, as it does seem the Blackwell Ultra is doing pretty strong in forms of its ramp process.
Quick, I've seen a couple of comments here on DLocal. It's a company I like very much. Yesterday in the stock draft video, it was actually my first pick. Is DLocal still a buy? Look, it's true it's not at $10 anymore, but it's under 12. So it is a bit more expensive, but still, in my opinion, very attractive at those prices. And as you can see right here, we had a huge drop, so a huge gap down, which we almost closed back in May. But even then, we had a gap up. That gap has been filled last 2 weeks or so. Now we're making our way back up. This is the downtrend line. We will need, of course, a lot of momentum to go and break that, and then we can fill that gap. And we continue to make our way up because this is, in my opinion, still a very good business. $3 billion in market cap, fast grower, profitable, close to zero debt. I like it. I like it a lot. I don't know if he froze or not, but okay. I'll continue with my rambling. So we continue here. Would you wait for a correction on recent SoFi? I would. It's not just SoFi specific, to be honest. It's everything. Everything has gone up. Of course, some of the names deserve to go up. That some of the names have not participated in the huge rally. Jose will be back in a second. In the huge rally. So with SoFi, I mean, remember at the start of the year we were closer to $18. So we're just making our way back up to where we were at the start of the year. On the daily, it is quite high, but not overbought just yet. There are plenty of companies, of course, that are overbought already. So, for example, I'm pretty sure my Nebius is almost. I guess with the pre-market, I guess today will be overbought a little bit. Rocket Lab is overbought. Pretty sure AST is definitely overbought right now. So there are plenty of stocks that, of course, have doubled or up 50% over the last couple of weeks. And right now, it is a very hot hot market, I'd say. Very hot market. If I go and look at maybe a more stable name, CRM, Salesforce, very strong company, has not participated at all, right? Has not participated at all in the recent rally. On the contrary, it peaked here in May and then dropped down. So there are some opportunities if you want. Of course, the opportunities are in the names that probably have a lower beta, so in the names that do not go up 10%, 15%, or even 8% on one day. Those are the names like a Salesforce, where yesterday it went up 3%, right? So you have to deal with that. I know someone talked about before FOMO and stuff like that. This is definitely happening right now. Right? This is definitely happening right now. You see companies like I've shown you, even companies that I own, doubled, or even Jose with CoreWeave doubled, tripled, or even more in the last couple of weeks, last 2 months or so. And then you let's say you own a company, a very good company like Salesforce, or even even our darling here, Google, and they have not really participated, although since the lows it is up, but they have not participated in the 50% rallies and whatnot, and you feel like an idiot, right? You feel like you missed an opportunity. But no, this is just 2 months, maybe a month from now. All of these stocks, even the ones that the Nebius and whatnot, can suddenly come down 20, 30%, right? Very, very quickly. It can happen. Just so that you don't have to look at the performance. Oh, last month this stock went up 50% and my stock went up 10%, and that's why I made a bad choice. No, you didn't make a bad choice. The other just made a good trading choice. You probably make still a very good investing choice. And that's the most important one. Making good investing choices, not for the next week or the next month, but for the next couple of years, for sure. Let's see. Shift 4 was in the draft. Why short-term or long-term belief? Shift 4 was in the draft and I actually took it. I took it because, well, I like it. I like it. And of course, I missed out on the other names. So I had to pick something that I liked. And so I went with Shift 4. Valuation-wise, as we've seen, I think 2 days or so ago, makes total sense. I'll actually show you. I'll show you again right now. Valuation-wise for Shift 4 makes sense. Okay, there is no Jared Isaacman anymore. He's still on the board, but the CEO is not him anymore. So PE 32.7 trailing, but a forward P of 16.2 times, revenue 2 years out, 21%, EPS 26.5%. So this is a company that's still expected to grow quite rapidly. I don't think I'm overpaying for it. And remember, the draft is the performance from today, from today until June 25th, 2026. So I've picked companies that are, of course, beaten down. I've picked companies that are beaten down. I've picked companies where I think valuation-wise, those are very cheap, and I could definitely outperform. So yeah, that's why I also chose UnitedHealth, for example. I chose UnitedHealth. I also bought UnitedHealth, very small position. But I chose UnitedHealth, of course, because, well, it is down 50% in just a matter of a couple of months here right now. What is it? 49% since April. So I am betting, of course, since this is just 12 months, I'm betting on a nice recovery in a lot of those names. And then with the other names like the AMD, like the Google, just strong companies that I still expect them to grow more and more. So voila, that was the rationale behind it. And Jose is back.
Yeah, I had to reset internet. Hopefully it fixes everything.
You live in a third world country, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, with this heat right here, right now, I think it's just, I don't know what. It's wild.
Yeah, I took Novo Nordisk. I almost took GitLab, to be honest. I almost took GitLab, but I went with ASML yesterday during a stock draft pick. Almost went with GitLab, but I didn't.
My goodness, Neil, you should have gone with GitLab. Who was in this stock draft? And you better win. That's all I'm saying.
Actually, I can show you the can show you the list, and you can share your thoughts on whether or not the list is a good one. Let's see. So this is basically it. We had Tevis, Manuel, Roy, myself, Chris, and then ChatGPT and Gemini basically got their own picks. Grok did not understand the assignment, so he's not included. So I took DLocal, PayPal, Google, UnitedHealth, AMD, Alibaba, Novo Nordisk, ASML, Shift4. Of course, I had to take Intel, Salesforce, and then the last pick was just Enphase, because as you can see, the last pick is just an extra whatever. The draft is basically the performance from today until next year, same day.
Very nice.
Yeah, which is why I took those. I mean, I own most of them, but
Yeah.
I took those names because a lot of them just have a lot of upside, in my opinion, have not really participated that much in the recent rally. And it's not that I did not want to take a SoFi or a Nebius or whatnot, just that they took it first round. And
Oh wow,
picked
that's
them.
wild. First round picks on some of those was pretty wild. Okay.
No, because we know
ChatGPT, screw ChatGPT.
No, but okay. But the thing with ChatGPT and Gemini is that they only got to pick after we picked
Oh,
all of
okay.
our names.
All right.
Okay,
Makes
and
sense.
Gemini was the last one, which is why it got all of the garbage.
Yeah. Imagine Gemini wins, even though it was the last.
That's what I said. I don't mind Gemini winning because that would be bullish for Google.
Yeah.
But yeah, now the reason why you see the smaller names at the top, first round picks, is purely because we know what the other wanted to pick. So like Tevis knew that everyone wanted SoFi, so he basically took that first. Manuel knew Nebius. I knew that DLocal was getting picked by Manuel or maybe someone else, so I had to secure it. And then I knew nobody would pick Intel, so I had time to pick that one.
Yeah, you didn't have to choose that one. You could have waited till the last minute and still got it.
Exactly. And then the rest. It was supposed to be 10 originally, only 10, and then we just added 2 extras. So I just went with Salesforce and Enphase for the extra 2. I really wanted to take Uber, but Roy took it just before.
Yeah. I like your list a lot. There's 2 other lists I like a lot too, but yours is there.
Which one, Chris?
Chris I like a lot, and Roy. But like it has that Uber, it has some Crowd, some Meta, some Oracle.
Yeah.
I don't follow the like C scalers, but I'm pretty sure there's some growth there. I don't follow Coin and Hims, but yeah. So yours, Chris, and Roy are
Chris has a good one, especially with new here. Well, Nvidia, the Trade Desk is a good one. TSM. Yeah. He took Micron just before I wanted to take Micron, so I had to take ASML because it's
which is also a good pick, I think. Is it for the next year, Neil?
For the next 12 months.
12 months. Yeah. Okay, nice.
That's also why I actually took Intel, and it's not that crazy of a pick because I basically give them 4 quarters.
Yeah,
it's 4 quarters time to make sure that the stock is not at $21. I think that's plenty of time for the stock to move up, and definitely plenty of time for Foundry and 18A to actually make some solid moves.
So who did you give up for instead of GitLab? Or did you pick for instead of GitLab?
ASML.
Okay, all right, that's all right.
Yeah, no, that's yeah, right. Of course, it's not something else. Although I could have maybe switched, but I was like, you know what, I picked, so whatever, we'll stick with it. We'll stick with that. I think I'll win. I'm sorry. I know I'll win.
I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for you.
Thank you.
I think the great host, co-host, whatever we call each other of this channel is going to
win. I thought you took Baba before Uber. Did I take Baba? No. Roy took Uber before. Roy took Uber before I took. Oh, no, it was the other way around. Because I didn't know. I wasn't sure if anyone was interested in Uber, so I just took Baba. Technically speaking, I should have taken Baba later because nobody was going to take that anyways. Same with UnitedHealth, although you never know. But yeah, Uber was one where, okay, can't catch them all. But I own Uber in my personal portfolio, so I don't care.
I like this. Neo Florian is dropping the great questions we all need to know. What's the explanation behind gap filling aside from OCT investors?
Which one had here? What's the explanation behind gap filling aside from OCD investor? Good question. Good question. I mean, the science behind it, I don't know, but it's just, I mean, on the way up, it makes sense, right? On the way up is just the stock basically making its way back up and then just naturally filling up that gap. On the way down, I guess I don't know. It's just the traders or the algo seeing a gap where the stock, there's a fly here. There where the stock just
Oh, I thought you were going. I thought it was part of your discussion, but
no, it's like an annoying fly. It's also very hot here, but yeah, I don't know what the science. It's just the algo
it's
not
just
seeing a
it's
certain
science.
stock
That's
price, and
it.
it's like tick.
Yeah. There's a pretty interesting comment from Ali. Google's Gemini is struggling a bit in inference. Grok seems to be a lot better. I'm not sure what you mean. I mean here, Ali, with inference. I mean, like, if you mean like time of thinking or the thinking process, I actually, while Gemini is not my favorite model, I'm a more of an O3 Pro type of guy. I think my second favorite model in forms of like thinking or research is definitely Gemini. It's very rare for me to use Grok for anything useful. Um, Maybe if I want to do something creative, I think Grok might be a better player there because it's a little less, it's a lot less hinged. So for the creative aspect, maybe Grok, but for some research stuff and time of thinking research, I do prefer Gemini over Grok. I know you use Grok, Neo, and I know you are a Gemini fan. Um, do you prefer one over the other?
Yes, yes. I actually think Grok is an idiot. No, for real. Like I don't think that I don't remember the last time I used it. I'm daily on Gemini and on Perplexity. Okay, I have Perplexity Pro, I have Gemini Pro, so that makes a huge difference as well from the free version.
But don't you get the? Aren't you Don't you have the? Do you have the blue check mark on X? Because that gives you a little bit of the
I have a blue
paid
check mark on
grok.
X. Yes,
So
but
even
it
even
does
it
it's
still doesn't. Yeah, right. I agree.
it's not great. It's not great.
Yeah,
Even with the image generator, it's like sometimes I'm like, this is not what I asked, mate.
yeah,
This is definitely not what I asked. And then when I ask it a simple question, just give me a simple answer. Don't give me like the whole Bible
yeah.
on the whole thing. It's nice when you go on a huge thread and you just click the grok button and you're like, you know
Yeah, that
what?
one is good. Very useful there.
Yeah, screw the
Yeah,
whole thread. Just summarize what the heck this guy wanted to say. And
I think that's the one I find the most use of grok is just whenever there's like a video that I didn't get because it's like those random ass videos that like have some riddle or something. I'm like, yo, can someone just explain this to me? But I daily I daily cheap OpenAI. I kind of weekly Gemini and Perplexity. I think maybe I monthly Grok, if that much.
but you pay for only ChatGPT, right?
No, I pay for everything. Gemini, the pro subscription. While it is on, I think it's only like 100 and something a month right now. They had like a 3 month for VL3 and stuff like that. I wanted to use it for VL3, so I bought like the that expensive monthly version. So
Okay.
yeah, it's a little bit burning my wallet. Hopefully the wife isn't watching, but I spend the 200 a month on GPT, the 150 on Gemini, and then I think Perplexity is.
Gemini is one. It's in the Google One package, no?
Yeah, but I don't know if you guys have it in that part of the world, Neil. But here in this part of the world, there's the monthly package where you do get kind of like VO3,
Like
more
Flow
stuff.
and the whole thing.
Yeah, all those stuff,
Okay.
and it's that's
Okay.
super. Because if not, it's like $20 a month for
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
their.
Okay.
But then they have the updated version of like 150 ish, or it's typically I think 300. But like the first 3 months, since VO3 was announced, they do it. Why pay? I find value in them, and I know there's a lot of open source solutions, Josiah. But for me, it's ease of use. I make the money. It's like anything in life. If you pay for it, as long as you're making your monthly worth out of it, then to me it's no thing. I use it for all my content creation. I use it for heavy research. It pays off itself for all these platforms, even if I don't use them all.
Perplexity Pro uses all of those. Yes, you can. When you use Perplexity, you can basically choose which model.
Yeah, but
you
there
want to
there
use.
there definitely is a difference of using like a Perplexity Pro and you don't have like O3 Pro, and the internal prompt within Perplexity Pro gives you different styles of response when actually using the main model itself. So again, it's more of a niche thing. I think for most users, Perplexity Pro is probably all you need because you can use all those LLMs. But if you are using it more niche specific, like I am, I think you definitely see a difference between every model.
Yeah, so I'm here. I'm looking. I can have a Sonar, which is Perplexity's fast model, Claude 4.0 Sonnet, GPT 4.1, Gemini 2.5 Pro, the newest one, Grok 3 Beta, and then in reasoning, R1, O3, and again Claude 4.1. So pretty good. And then of course you can choose between search, research, and labs. Labs is pretty crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for the typical consumer, probably Perplexity is the best way to go to get really exposure to the AI space. I just don't know if you can do a lot of the image. Can you do? I don't think they have any of the AI image
They
aspects there, do they?
do
I
have
don't.
image. The funny thing, they do have image on X. Like if you ask Perplexity on X, they have
Oh,
image and
really?
video. And
Oh,
video.
wow. That's wild.
It's quite interesting,
Yeah.
and because I tried to do it on Perplexity, their own website, but it did not work. But it does work on X as a prompt, which is funny.
All right. I think that's enough AI talk. For unless people have questions about AI, then I'll gladly answer, or Neil would gladly answer anything. Um,
There was a question here.
I just want to say, Prune is right. Jose's internet must be dookie. It is right now.
Hadouken. Why did you finally get United Health? Purely just because I wanted. I see the opportunity for a nice gain in the short term. It's a non-tech exposure, and so I said, you know what? Why not? Why not? It was either cash or something like that. Because how much lower can this thing go? In my head, not much. And how much higher can it go? A lot. So that's why. But yeah.
Let's see. We got a lot of comments here. Jose, I think this is based on that draft. Obviously, I don't know because it all depends, right, on who picks what. But obviously, would be a lot very heavy semi-software dependent. Let's see. We got a lot of comments here. I don't know if you want to grab any that you see. Intel, Intel is giving falling knife for me looking at CPUs, but they have other segments. I don't know if you've seen some. I know you own the stock, Neo. I don't know if you've seen some of the recent updates with it. There were two updates that I really liked. One happened about a week ago, and let me see if I can get the website. It's from their investors relations website, and they hired a lot new talent. This was on June 18th. So let me just get this here and let me share screen really quick. Again, I'm not a shareholder of Intel, but I'm starting to like their CEO more and more. Every time I see what he's changing. So Intel appoints sales and engineering leaders. So there is a massive shift happening in Intel with them letting go of a lot of high level executives and switching them over. And the new CEO, a few that I enjoyed, it seems like he's poaching some people from Cadence Design. For example, here we have, I'm not even going to try any names because I'm pretty much going to butcher them. But this new person, he joins Intel from Cadence Design System, where he led global silicon engineering. And he's now will lead a new customer engineering center of excellence and join the Intel executive team. Now, the other two that I actually saw were pretty exciting. If I was maybe an Intel shareholder, I'm just going to call him Ale. So Ale has been
Ale
named VP.
Grucci. He
Thank
has
you,
to do
Neil.
with the Italian accent and the hands alle cruci.
has been named the VP of AI systems on System on Chips. So he'll be responsible for managing the development of multiple system on chips that will be part of Intel's AI roadmap. And he joins from Rain AI, an innovative startup where he led AI silicon engineering. So I think that's pretty interesting. It does show that Li Butan is really, really focus on the AI ecosystem right now. And we can see the other one has been named the VP of AI Fabric and Networking, which is great for connecting a lot of GPUs together. He would lead the development of innovative system on chip architectures for Intel's AI GPUs and forward looking roadmap. He joins from Google, where he led silicon engineering, architectural design, and platform solutions across multiple system on chips from the mobile sides. He was previously the founder and CEO of Provino Technologies, an SoC startup acquired by Google in 2021. So we can see Li Butan is really focusing on the AI space. I do want to say, though, is these types of designs take multiple years to actually see some actual results. So it's not like I expect a new AI chip from Intel next year. Maybe 2-3 years from now is maybe a little bit more hopeful. But it shows Li Butan is trying to head in that direction. And we've seen a lot of other news of more job layoffs. Last week, we saw that they're getting rid of their marketing team, or most of the marketing team, and kind of contracting Accenture, which will be using a lot more AI to help with a lot of the marketing scheme there for Intel. And they are closing off an automotive segment that they had within the Intel team, and laying off some of the workers there. So a lot of cutting costs right now and really shifting into the markets that they want. It looks good, but these are things that do take multiple years, especially that AI stuff, to really see any answer. So I don't expect major changes anytime soon, but at least it's some good changes.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, like Matthew said, the CEO is respected in the top tech leaders. Yes, Li Butan has been very good at cadence for the last, was it, over 15 years or so. And it's not a falling knife anymore, right? It's actually been making higher lows, as we can see right here, and it's making its way to the 200-day moving average, although earlier this year it was twice above it, didn't really hold that level, went back down. Now we're trying to make our way back up. But with Intel, I guess it is more now about the narrative changes, right? It's more about, you know what, we know the results will take time, but the narrative can change, right? It can go from, oh, Intel is dead, although it is not dead yet, to, oh, Intel is actually making its way back up and the narrative changes and we are not trading anymore near book value. We're not trading anymore as if this is a company that goes out of business. Plus, who knows, right? Maybe in the back half of the year, exiting this year, we suddenly have an announcement, right? Huge clients for Intel Foundry commitments. That can, of course, change everything for the company. But yeah, Li Butan is definitely way more aggressive, it seems. Way more aggressive. He has no emotional attachment to Intel. He has an emotional attachment to the business and the investors. And that's it. That's the focus for him. So layoffs definitely coming. Changes, restructuring definitely happening. And I guess that's what they needed. For sure.
And yeah, with what Matthew said about kind of respected, I think in this industry where I would say the semiconductor industry, especially the niches that Intel hits, it's a very talent constrained market, where you obviously have a lot of competitors. You have competitors like AMD, like Nvidia. You have startups. So if you are well respected, it does sometimes certain players, certain talent will only go if they believe in the leadership itself. And if they look at Li Butan, if he is actually this really respected individual, which I've heard the same thing, Matthew, I think it allows the opportunity for you to get talent, even though you might still be maybe what some might consider that shitgo company, at least in the moment. But having a respected leader could kind of bring talent that can help change that up. So it's crazy how in certain industries, I wouldn't think a massive leadership change is that crucial. But in the I think in certain spaces where you're very talent constrained, a good leadership change can help dramatically improve your talent acquisition.
Yeah, and I mean, 12 months from now, I think I can be smiling with my Intel. It's either I'm smiling or I don't own it anymore. So either way, next year, I'm either making money on it or not. Although even right now, I'm pretty close to being break even with all of the disaster around Intel stock. But yeah, it is a cutthroat industry and business, and it has to be. It has to be. It's not like, oh, we're going to play nice. No, it's you want to win or not. It's not like Lisa Su or Jensen are going to stick around and say, you know what? Oh, actually, poor Intel. Maybe we should slow down and help them
Yeah.
out a little bit. It's like, no, man. You have to come out and do the best you can.
Yeah. I mean, right now, definitely, I do think there's still some market bleeding in forms of market share.
For sure.
I mean, in the laptop space, I've been looking for a new laptop, and every review that I'm looking at on the kind of higher tier premium is they would say go with an AMD CPU at the moment. Just because some of the issues that might be coming from some of the Intel CPU products right now. But I think all these stuff are things that can be fixed. And for the CEO to make changes is not something that happens right off the bat. I also have one more slide. Neil, I don't know if you saw this one. It's more about, it continues here on Intel. Again, not a shareholder, but semiconductor industry is very, very close to my heart. And it's the Global Foundry Market Revenue Share Ranking. And this Global Foundry, people might look at it right away and say TSMC 35.3%. This is completely wrong, because TSMC, if you look at wafer manufacturing, it's closer to like 50 to 60%. Now there is this new type of global foundry market where you're including wafer manufacturing. You're also including things like advanced packaging, which is very, very critical nowadays, especially. That's why you see a company like ASE, which focuses a lot in advanced packaging, being a big player in this list. So it's kind of the whole process of global foundry, of chip manufacturing. TSMC is by far the leader and continues to gain market share. We can see in Q1 of 2024, it had roughly 29.4. But as we know, they are expanding their manufacturing footprint here in the United States and other parts in the world, and in Taiwan as well. The second thing that we know is they are massively building their advanced packaging solutions for things like CoWoS. So that's what's really helping them grow that market share, make it bigger and bigger. Because back then they didn't have enough CoWoS capacity or manufacturing lines, that they were kind of sending some of those orders to other potential players. And here we can see TSMC is 35.3%. Intel is actually second here in second place. Obviously it's mainly all its own revenue and its own chips. But there were based reports on this Counterpoint Research that their 18A is actually getting some great positive reaction. So it can help maybe them grow even a little bit more market share. The other thing that I found interesting is many people would think Samsung is second place, but Samsung is no longer there. It's number 4 on the list. Intel also does have a lot of great advanced packaging solutions, like their Forbros, I forget what they call it, but they have kind of like their own 2.5, 3D stacking solutions as well, and kind of like their own versions of CoWoS solutions, and they're doing really, really well in that. So Intel is definitely becoming a nice player here in global foundry market share. I really wouldn't worry as a TSMC, but I wouldn't sleep on Intel's foundry business, especially if you're counting more than just wafer, like this slide is. It's counting things like advanced packaging.
It's a revenue.
Revenue share. Well, obviously, it's going to revenue share. That's pretty much how they determine market share in most of these things, right? If you look kind of like a data center market expense, you look more at kind of the overall revenue spending at the moment. And some here, you're also going to take a closer look at. You see names that aren't here. SK Hynix are also going to be here. So you might be like, how's TSMC so little? There's not that many manufacturing lines, but there's a lot of Chinese players. There's a lot of memory players like Micron, like SK Hynix here that didn't make the list that are under here. So that's why TSMC looks super small. But compared to first to second player, TSMC still dominates.
Not bad. Intel making a little comeback there. Of course, Intel is Intel's own client, but still not bad at all. Actually, my laptop now has Nvidia RTX 4070 and AMD Ryzen 7. If you're interested to know.
Thank you, Neil.
Not a bad laptop. That didn't really cost
really
that
nice.
much, actually.
Yeah, no, mine's still running. I'm looking for a number because mine's still running the 3070, but also an AMD CPU. I'm looking for the 5070 Ti this time.
Yeah, you just have to add another couple of dollars to add to that.
But I mean, Robert here. I think Robert was saying that he's very. Okay. I didn't know if he meant, Robert, if you were talking about the stock or the actual product itself.
The product.
I think you're talking more about the product. Yeah, I mean, I do see one of the biggest complaints in some of the CPUs in the laptop market right now have been kind of an overheating issue that they're seeing heavily, and more power in a laptop space. I'm looking for more power constraint. I think it might be different in the PC desktop world, but I think in the laptop market, I think the influencers or the tech reviewers are at least correct in their assessment. I don't know if they're shilling the same on the PC side, but I think on the PC side, power draws and power temps are I don't think are as important.
Plus, I mean, remember, for the majority of people, right? For the majority of users, it doesn't matter. Intel, AMD, if it's for day-to-day tasks, it doesn't matter. It's just purely if you want to edit videos, you want to stream, if you want to play games, that's usually when you get into the details, right? Whether you need 4070, 4080, 4090, 5070, Ryzen 7, Ryzen 9, Intel i7, i9. Like, for the normal person, doesn't even know what the heck we're talking about right now, right? It's just, how much does this laptop cost? That's the only question that someone is definitely going to ask. And then if you're a gamer or content creator, you are going to dive a little bit deeper. What type of games can I play on it? How fast can I render a video, etc., etc. But yeah, it's quite crazy also how this is a nice V-shaped recovery for a company like TSM. We peaked like before at the start of the year, basically where we're at right now, 226, crashed all the way down to 130 something, and then all the way back up to all-time highs in just 2 months and a half or so.
How has ASML done, Neil? If you can pull that up, I wonder.
Actually, I don't think it has moved much now.
No.
I mean, moved probably from the bottom. Yeah, from the bottom we're up close to 40%, but from where's the start of the year? Somewhere here. Up a tiny bit now, not much. Yeah. And this is in dollars, I think.
I can't believe earnings seasons are getting ready to start back up, Neil. I feel like we just stopped them. But great. I mean, great for the channel. Great for us to discuss. 2 weeks from now, I think, is when we get the heat of it for tech, the tech industry.
Yeah. 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks. 2 weeks probably banks, and then we have the TSM, ASML, Netflix, the early birds, let's call them. But yeah, tomorrow we have another fan favorite, it seems. I mean, it's a fan favorite only because I think Jeremy from Financial Education covers it a lot and has a position on it, and that's Nike. Nike has been a disaster of a stock. If I zoom out more and more, it has been a disaster of a stock. It's crazy to think that, I mean, it's not crazy to think, $180. Kramer speaking incredibly positive of me. Oh, that's not good.
Luckily, he's always done that, though. He one of the few things I could say is he's always been kind of a very long.
It's just because he wants Jensen to be on his show. That's about it.
It's named after Nvidia.
Really?
Yeah. I think one of his. I think one of his dogs. Let me see. Is dogs Jensen? Kramer's dog's name. Oh no, his name is his dog's name 7 years ago is Nvidia.
That's a weird name for a dog. Anyways, Nike, as you can see, Nike is now back around the same level it was when it crashed back in March 2020 because of the pandemic. Um, and tomorrow they report earnings. Hello, Ragav. How are you today? And tomorrow they report earnings. Probably this is going to be the worst report for them in a long, long time. Not me saying, it's them saying it 3 months ago. Revenue down, margins down, profitability down, everything down for Nike. So if we go quickly have a look here on fiscal. Oh, Martin, you should definitely change the name if you have a dog or a cat or a goldfish. I don't know. For an Nvidia millionaire, you should definitely have at least something Nvidia related in your house. You should have named the dog GeForce. GeForce actually would have been a much better name than Nvidia
Yeah.
for a dog.
Well, Matthew corrected me. His name is Everest Nvidia.
That's even worse.
Oh my gosh, nothing can.
Poor dog. Everest Nvidia? The heck is this? My God. Anyways, as you can see, revenue for Nike expected to come down around $10.7 billion for tomorrow and the quarter after that. And only the quarter afterwards, which makes sense, does the market expect it to go up a little bit for revenue? EPS wise, story is not that much better. Right now, we're expecting it to be around 12 cents midpoint, but afterwards, it's expected to go back up a little bit. Surprisingly enough, the average analyst price target sits at around $72 or so, with the higher end at $120. This was, I think, an analyst covered it yesterday or 2 days ago, basically saying that this is a quarter of reset and it's only going up from here. Well, hopefully
What does
he's
it
going
do,
to
AI?
Nike AI. I mean, you know what? Why not at this point? If we quickly have a look at the different segments, of course, the majority, well, not the majority, the large part comes from footwear, comes at no surprise. So anyone that says, oh, why should you compare it to On Holdings? On only does shoes, Nike does more than shoes. Well, first of all, On also does apparel. And as you can see here, for Nike, and this is on an annual basis, how much are $47.9 billion, $30.5 billion out of it is footwear. Okay, so that is the biggest segment. Then you've got apparel. And as you can see, it's been coming down. It's been coming down. It's not great at all. Even if we look at quarterly, I mean, it's not great.
And Neil, I don't know how closely if you follow this one. What has caused that kind of slowdown in footwear? Is it just purely competition from companies like On and other thing, or is it more macroeconomics in the consumer spend that's actually spending less money on brands like Nike?
So it's a mix of a lot of things. It's a mix of one, competition, the likes of On, Deckers, right? Hoka shoes, for example, Adidas. It's a mix of competition and them completely screwing up their own strategy during the pandemic. Because during the pandemic, they were, of course, heavily moving towards digital. And now, well, now clearly relationships also with stores, inventory build up, and all of that is not great. So for a company like that, because again, it's shoes, it's apparel. If you have a lot of competition, I mean, I buy a pair of shoes, I buy a new one when I see a hole in it. I'm not going to buy 10 Nike pairs just for the sake of it. And even the sneaker heads, right? If you follow a bit the sneaker heads, the sneaker market, even that has died down extremely over the past 2 years and a half or so, which of course impacts the whole sneaker market and the whole Nike culture here. So it's a mix of everything. Mismanagement, I'd say, is at the top of it, and then competition for sure. Because if we go and look at On, for example, On Holdings, if we look at how fast they've been growing, of course, smaller base, but the last 3 years, CAGR 45.7%, forward 2 years 25.6, and
Oh wow,
EPS
nice.
15.5. So yeah, it's not like there is no demand. There is, but just more competition. Of
Yeah,
course,
these are the only shoes I wear.
smaller company. It's not cheap. Of course, the shoes are not cheap. I also own a pair, but this is a company that has been growing a lot. Of course, growth rates come down as well the overall revenue becomes bigger and bigger, but it's still expected to grow above 20% for the next coming fiscal
Yeah.
years. Not something that that Nike can say. Of course, as you can see, revenue-wise, it's very, very small, right? 4.5 billion. Nike is 10 times that, but Nike is not growing. So
Yeah, I mean, I this is one of the things that I very rare. I don't know. People always say it's risky to invest in tech, but I feel like investing in retail and stuff like this is very risky. What kind of moat do you have where someone could just change? One influencer can create a massive drive for one of your competitors and really. Because I mean, with shoes, it's very hard to kind of. You can't do like, oh man, with this shoe, I'm running 2 miles faster, and then not many people care or anything like that. I mean, 2 miles faster is pretty insane, but you can't really
yeah.
see the performance. Is what I'm trying to say on specs.
Athletes care, but yeah, we
Yeah,
don't care
but the
much.
consumers, um, been saying their products qualities are getting poorer and poorer.
Yes, the shoes are getting more expensive and the quality gets worse for sure. But yeah, on the fad side of it, look, On is a growing business. Every day I see people suddenly wearing On. This was definitely not the case a couple of years ago. Can it disappear 3 years from now? It can, but I don't see that happening at all. I don't see that happening at all. Nike's moat is just the sheer brand recognition and marketing that they can do worldwide. That's about it. Because product-wise, it's really not that great. I mean, apparel-wise, Lululemon is amazing. Of course, you pay for it. It's not cheap, but yeah, that's the only thing. That's the only thing I can say. But On is, I don't think, disappearing. They also have Roger Federer as a brand icon and investor, and I think the only time I touched on my channel was a couple of years ago, and I said that they're going to move the same way. They're going to make moves like Jordan did with Nike and Air Jordan, but Federer with his tennis, and that's exactly what we're seeing now with tennis players being sponsored by On, wearing On shoes, On apparel, and you are going to see this brand continue to grow more and more for sure. But I hate running, so I just don't
Um,
like the fact that I have to run in circles for nothing. I like to do like 10 miles and stuff like that, like
I
when
hate
there is
running, but I like to do 10 miles,
no
which is
the event,
uh
like when there is an event and you run like with 5,000 people, 10,000 people. I like that because it's like energizing. But if I have to go now to run in the park, forget about it. I hate it.
how is On shoes quality? I mean, I enjoy them. You have a pair right now. Do you like
Yeah.
them?
Yeah, I like them. I
Okay.
like them, but I also have. But my main pair for running is actually Nike running shoes.
Uh, we hear to do well in the fashion stocks, you have to watch the cool kids. It's so funny, Neil. The first time I started to see On shoes were probably like 4 years ago, and it was my dad buying them nonstop. It wasn't no cool kid. If I would have listened to my dad and see where he was spending, he would buy like a pair every other week. Um, and I'm like, yo, if I would have bought, I wonder when the company went public. But I'm pretty sure if I would have followed him, maybe I would be a little bit up on the fashion game. Maybe not too much.
50%.
90%.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, man, it's quite interesting because remember New Balance, the New Balance shoes that the dads used to wear, like the dads in jeans and polo, and they have like the New Balance shoes.
Hey, don't talk bad
Suddenly,
about that.
no,
I'm
I
a
like
dad. Just
I
kidding. I'm
like it.
joking. I'm joking. Yeah.
I liked it, but when I wore it, it was like no. But today, suddenly everybody wears New Balance. I'm like,
Yeah.
why are you wearing old dad shoes? Like, what do you mean? It's now trending. I'm like, yeah, sure, sheep.
Talking about, I don't know, somehow segue here into Intel. There were a lot of thoughts here on Intel. We do have Danielle says, is it me or buying Intel at a market cap equity ratio 1 a bargain? And then Anit says, Intel does seem like a bargain. I think, I mean, it does seem that as a bargain if it makes the changes it has to make, right, Neil? I think that's the most important things. If it obviously continues to bleed out in market share, if it continues to do not that good in the foundry business, then no, it's definitely not a bargain. But if you do believe management is able to turn everything around, which I don't see it, even though I don't own it, I don't see it as impossible. The thing that I do see though is there might be some investors that are expecting the change to happen right away. And in the semiconductor industry, it could take a year, like you mentioned, right? You're for that Intel pick, you're giving it 4 quarters to make some changes here and there. It could take a year, maybe even more, before you actually see some changes into the CPU design, into the CPU architecture, into the manufacturing. I think the manufacturing business might have a little bit earlier since we're already in that 18A, so that one can actually show some results right in the near future. But it looks like a bargain if you are patient and believe in the turnaround story. If you are patient and it does turn around, this, in my opinion, will be a multi bagger. But if is that big if.
Yeah, but yeah, if is the big, yeah, it's the big if, but the risk reward makes sense. Like if it does not totally work out, it's not like it goes to $10 or something. Like we're already close to book value, so it's how much lower can you go? You're not going to go that much lower, anyways. So yeah, another very interesting AI company. Just kidding, Crocs. Have you heard about that? Crocs is a market beater, by the way, of the past 5 years, 188% since it went public. 600, well, a long time ago, 606%. Crocs is, of course, again one of those companies, maybe a fad, maybe not, although it's been existing for a long, long time. So I don't know if you can call it a fad anymore. But trading PE 6, forward PE 7.7, revenue over the past 3 years compounded 17.7%, forward 2 years only 1.9%, and EPS basically remaining flat here. But margins are insane for this company. 59.3% growth, 26.6 EBITDA, 24.9 operating margin, 23.4 net, and 21.6% free cash flow margin for Crocs. It's insane how good this business actually is. I've been a loyal Crocs wearer for, I don't know, 15 years plus or something like that. I don't know why. I'm always ahead of the curve. Always ahead of the curve with my Crocs. Another good value here. We're talking about value and not tech anymore on this live stream. I think it's Abercrombie and Fitch here as well. I think a very cheap retail company that has definitely crushed the market over the past 5 years. It is experiencing, of course, a huge drawdown at the moment, but yeah, margins are also quite good for this type of company. Revenue-wise, 4% for the next 2 years, but I mean the PE of 7.5% makes sense. Average analyst price target $113. Good value if you wanna get exposure to non-tech names, I think. So yeah, Abercrombie.
Non-tech names. What is this nonsense, Neo? Going back
Yeah,
to the Stone Age?
Stone Age, that's up 700% over the past 5 years. Yeah.
Okay. But can you do AI? Here's the question. Here we have one. Jose, how many stocks do you hold in your portfolio overall? What should be the ideal number in your case? I think now, Neil, I probably own about 20 to 25 stocks, which might seem like a lot. But my core portfolio is probably like 10 stocks. 10 stocks make up like 75 to 80% of my portfolio. Those 10 stocks are pretty much the ones I really care about. On like an earnings basis. The other ones I try to do are more like speculative plays that can kind of grow. But I would say 80%, maybe even more of my overall portfolio is in less than 10 stocks. So those are my heavy allocations. I mean, Nvidia is like 30% of that. And then I have a lot of other semiconductor and tech companies. Now, what's the ideal number? I don't know what's the ideal number. I mean, there's people that do fine holding 5 stocks. There's people that do fine holding 50 stocks. I think it's all what you feel comfortable with and what you end up kind of finding your experience. I've tried all, right? I mean, when I first started, I think I only had like 2 stocks. When I first started, I think I had AMD and Disney. I think those were the 2 stocks in my portfolio. And that's all I really cared about. Then I came to AMD, target $200. Nice. I'm up there. Then I had, during the COVID era, I had like 50 stocks. And I learned that wasn't for me. It really wasn't. With 50 stocks, I didn't feel like if one did good, it really made a difference in my portfolio. I feel like I've gotten a good hunch on certain technology. And I'd rather make big bets on smaller plays, on small amount of companies than small bets on a lot of companies, if that makes sense. But I understand the risk that comes with it, right? Obviously, if I'm wrong with my bets, then it can definitely hurt my portfolio. So you come with risk to reward ratios.
Yeah, I mean, if I also had way more companies in my portfolio than what I have right now, and it works for a while until it doesn't, right? Until you feel like it's just too much work to follow every single company. Like again, when things go up, you don't ask questions. When things go down, you suddenly need to research more and more. And so having too many stocks is just impossible to follow in the longer run. And so the portfolio has also become a little bit smaller. And then if it's companies in the same industry, then I guess it's easier also to follow, because if one says one thing, then you can maybe see how it can affect the other stock, the other companies in the same industry. So that's another way to think about it. We have 3 minutes to go until the market opens. It does seem like we've talked about the Melius upgrade, but there was also other upgrade. It does seem like AMD is definitely attracting more and more attention these days, for sure. Whether it's because the stock has gone up or whether it's because, well, suddenly AMD is actually making some big moves after what they've told us during the advancing AI event. But as we've said yesterday, during yesterday's episode, when we looked at the price to sales PE ratio for AMD, we are of course now closer to the usual average for them, but this is not the usual AMD anymore, right? This is an AMD still expected to grow above 20% for 2 years. Margin wise, things are looking quite good, and so things are definitely getting more interesting around the infamous advanced money destroyer, now advanced money doubler, or what was mentioned.
Neil, now that you know we're getting a lot of positive traction with the MI 355 and that it come out on schedule, are you still hopeful of Lisa Su or the team giving us actual maybe number of sales? That fly needs to get out ASAP, Neil. You can't keep getting distracted like that. Do you think Lisa Su or team is going to finally give us maybe more of at least maybe not a true number, but at least a baseline of what to expect in the AI space?
You know what the baseline will be, right?
Yeah, see, I don't want to hear tens of billions. I want to hear
No,
if
it's
it
the
is
double
tens,
digits.
double digit. Yeah, I mean,
It's the
I would
strong
love to
double
hear
digits.
if they don't give us an actual number, at least in the be like, we'll be closer to the mid-teens or like closer to like the low 20s. I would rather hear that than tens of billions. But yeah, I I'm still, I don't think, but I would love to hear something like that. I think that would make a lot of these analysts a lot very, very happy.
Yeah, I mean,
Markets opening. Come on, Neil. Where's your timer? Where's your timer?
first of all,
Amateur hour.
I have it open, but as you know, it's always a couple of seconds until it refreshes. So what's the point? when did they first give us guidance last year about the AI revenue? At the start of the year or a quarter in or something like that?
Man, I'm not sure, Neil. All I know is companies are jumping, like small caps are still riding the wave. Nvidia's is up another 8%, 7% today after being up like 7% yesterday. We have SoundHound. You know, things are getting pretty heated when SoundHound is up nearly 6%.
How much is it right now? 12, 13, 15?
10.
Okay.
Did Neil just say SoundHound's going to $12 and $13? I think we got that breaking news here.
What? $3? What did you say?
Your Nebius is up 6% today.
Nebius, yeah, that's crazy.
Let's see what else.
Micron is
here?
down right now, 1%. The usual earnings jitters, I'd say.
Yeah.
Let's refresh one last time.
But overall, it seems like semiconductor stocks are definitely nice, a nice green today. Intel's pretty much flat. We do have
AMD up 140 now. HIMS rebounding 4%. What else do we have here? Big movers.
Any big tech movers? Let's see.
Oklo is up 6. Reddit is up 7%. Another nice. Another 7% there. Google up 1%. Nvidia up 1.2.
I mean, Reddit?
No, I do not.
Okay.
But I did cover it when it was much lower, so I feel better.
Oh, nice.
So I feel better. Waldo say you guys need a bell like Felix. I thought Amit was the guy with the bell. Did Felix, the guy, steal that from him?
We need to be creative and do something else.
Yeah. Also, rather not talk about him. So we'll continue here.
Jesse here. Hi guys. I have AMD 28%, Google 23%, Amazon 20%, Meta 20%, HIMS 5%. What do you think about this? I'm willing to add SoFi. I like your live videos at Market Opens. Great job, guys. I mean, I like the conviction first, I would say, and I at least on those big names, I like it, but it's just with a portfolio like this, you have to really understand these companies, Jesse, and hopefully you do, because if you don't want to get scared out. I think that's one of the scary things when you own a big position is if you don't know your company and you see maybe some bearish things, you start to get pretty scared. But if you were to ask me, do I think the chances of this outperforming the market is high? I think the chances of it outperforming the market is high. It's not impossible to underperform the market, but it seems like a market beater portfolio to me. What about to you, Neil?
Yeah, I mean, I own AMD, Google, Amazon, Meta.
Yeah.
So I'm willing to add SoFi, yes. I mean, also with AST, depends, is it a new buy or is it an old buy? If it's a new buy, you're paying quite a lot for it. If it's an old buy, meaning a month ago, you're double. You're already up double. So,
well, the great thing is those were kind of small positions too, even if it was compared to its overall portfolio. Even if they were new buys, 4 or 5%. Yeah. No. We don't need another bell.
Yeah, I was not going to make a bell or anything like that. Anyway,
Coin up 6%. It does seem like the market. I mean, I would expect Coin to be one of those benefactors of stable coins and the whole process that's happening right now with that. So. But that's wild. That's a massive stretch. Like that is things that make me a little bit concerned. You know,
you want to see a real stretch. It's the circle one. This, although over the past couple of days it has come down. What happened with the other meme guys? 175.
Still kicking.
Yeah, still pretty good. What did I want to check? DLocal.
Don't be mean to my core weave.
Right, DLocal is actually down. It's actually down. 141. 141. Thanks for the coverage.
Appreciate.
Thank you very much. Yeah, my only issues with what's, I mean, my only issues, I think my portfolio is reaching all-time highs every single day now. But
Whoa, big baller.
says the guy who pays $1,000 for LLMs on a monthly basis. um, my only issue is that a lot of the stocks are just overbought right now, like almost all of them. And yeah, Nebius is making, retesting 55, although RSI wise we're not as high. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a pullback happening soon, because like how much more can it go up, right? For all of the stock. Why do I consider
Because
CoreWeave a
he's a
meme stock?
hater.
I mean, have you seen
I've
this?
seen the price, yeah.
Have you
I think
seen?
he's talking more about meme valuation than a meme stock. Two different things, right, Neil? I would think.
Yes, no, it's of course it's a legit company, right? It's just meme movement.
Yeah.
It's up almost like 400% in 2 months. It's quite
Yeah.
quite crazy, crazy. But yeah, again, it's not just CoreWeave. It's a lot of other companies out there as well. What did AST do today? Still 50, 52. Also very, very overbought right now. So yeah, the only issue I have is just that it seems like a lot of stocks are stretched.
Yeah, I agree. It's like that risk to reward ratio is not in our favor for new money in a lot of these positions.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then we've talked about it before, right? Max 7 have been mostly underperforming this year. Some of them have outperformed the market. I think Meta is still doing fine. Microsoft now as well. I think Nvidia is right around the same. Yeah, so voila.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, especially Google today, again, some strength, making our way back to 170, thank God. But yeah, it seems like there is a lot of chasing happening right now. And when there is a lot of chasing happening, it's always good to maybe chill, relax,
Yeah.
don't make sudden moves that you will probably regret. Yesterday actually, because I had to pick Enphase, just to close the show out now, unless you have something to add, I had to pick Enphase at the end. And I was looking at January 2027 call options. I mean, if we do get like the incentives for solar and all of that does stay, because I think yesterday there was news that it might stay. There are some very, very cheap leaps for these solar names, because if the incentive does stay, I think these things can skyrocket, like double in a year, and you get your double way before your call option, of course, expire. Very interesting to see. I don't know why I wanted to share that, but just
Thank you.
voila.
No, I appreciate it. No, but I mean, it's true. I mean, with a lot of these companies that sometimes like they've taken quite a hit. Call options far off the time frame definitely seem attractive if things seem a little bit better than the overall market might be expecting.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
then you also don't spend too much of your money in stock holding as well.
Yeah, I mean, I checked, and if it's, I don't know, if I buy and it costs me $800 for one, well, for 100 shares, but one contract, I put in 800, and if it hits, I'm like out with 15,000 or something like that. I'm like, okay, why not? Why not maybe
Yeah.
try it? Plus, you have 1.5 years, so you have plenty of time to see how things evolve with it. But enough.
I would say that I like this thought from Mel, the money well track. I think right now as we are seeing kind of these massive stocks go up, and if hedge funds and just big money owns a lot of these stocks, they're gonna want to keep those gains. And I think right now a lot of the like Google and a lot of these Max 7s haven't done too well. So I do think eventually there's going to be a transition of money of, hey, look, let me lock in some of the gains and let me go into safer plays later into throughout the year. So I can say, look, my performance is so great. I'm a great investor right now. So I know we talked about new money, and for me, and I think for you, Neil, right? I think new money is definitely going into more companies like Google at the moment, and players like that might not have seen such a crazy run up.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't even notice that Microsoft is up 42% since the lows in April. And look at, like, since the earnings report, this thing has just gone up and up and up and up and up. That's crazy.
All right, Neil, I think that's it for us today.
That is
And
it for us
for
today.
this week, unless maybe Micron gives us something crazy after
Yeah.
hours, we might be in tomorrow. I think you might have mentioned that at the beginning
Yeah,
of the episode, but yeah.
for a quick update, we might be back tomorrow. But if not, then you can see us on our own channel, because I do think we will both cover Micron probably later today, and we will see each other Monday, unless there's some holiday, but I don't think that we will.
I
Enough.
don't think there is.
Enough with those things. So anyways, thank you all for joining. Really appreciate it. And we shall see each other either tomorrow or on Monday.